presentation, which is with Rudvisa, before the closing comments. So please now I'll hand over to Jose Carlos to talk about the bylaws. Enjoy.
Thanks, Craig. So I am absolutely thrilled to be presenting the most boring topic of this alumni meeting. No, just kidding. This is perhaps actually the most important topic. And one of the reasons is that we can only discuss these topics during alumni meetings. So this is not something that can be done every time of the year. And in this occasion, we are presenting or putting forward to the community 3 proposals to update or amend the bylaws or the rules of our foundation. And to begin with this topic, I would like to assure you that these 3 proposals have been discussed for a long time, and it's the result of many internal discussions with the board members and also together with our local representatives or most engaged volunteers. And this is something that has also been preliminary discussed and put forward to the governing board. For those of you who are not very familiar how the structure of the foundation is, we, the members of the alumni board, are handling mostly operational, day-to-day matters of the foundation. We do also set some strategic points, but besides that, we have a governing board which has the main duties of oversight and steering of the foundation. And I'm showing now on the screen the timeline of how these proposals that I'm going to explain now have been designed and proposed and elaborated during this time. And the discussions began around January, perhaps I would say even a bit before, last year, since the first physical meeting we had with the board members. But we really dug deep into this topic in January when we had the expansion of the board, and we started thinking how to move forward over these 2 years of the mandate, and also how to set the basis to make the foundation more scalable. The first version of the amendments was drafted and finished around March. On the 2nd of April, we had a call with all the local reps to present them these proposals, hear their thoughts and opinions, and adjust the documents accordingly. Then in July, around June, July, Jeroen, who's a representative of the alumni board in the governing board, also brought forward these topics into the agenda of the governing board meeting to put this into the knowledge of the legal advisor of EIT Digital and the CEO of EIT Digital. And in September and October, the communication between Jeroen and the CEO and legal advisor, and also the head of the education programs or the chief education officer, were also informed about these proposed amendments. And the amendments were published according to our regulations and rules 1 month before, actually a few days before, 1 month, the annual meeting, because all of these changes need to be published at least 1 month in advance before of the alumni meetings. And these were published on the website on October the 12th. Now, what amendments are we talking about? There are 3 proposals which we're putting forward to you, the members of the community. And we have clustered these into 3 topics, which are described here. So the first is related to the voting procedures, or more specifically to clarify and set in our rules the online voting as an official mechanism, which has been done so far, but it's has not been officialized yet. And the second topic relates to the quorum in the board meetings of the alumni board that needs to be updated because of the board expansion. And the third one relates to the working groups and some of the topics that Jeroen mentioned in the State of the Foundation presentation at the beginning of this session. And now I will show you 2 slides per each proposal, one of them explaining the motivation, so the reason why we're doing this, and the second one summarizing the changes themselves in the bylaws. So the first proposal related to the online voting originates or comes from 2 main reasons. The first one of those is that currently the voting periods are entwined. I would call right now I would say that the current rules are some sort of spaghetti in which you need to jump back and forth between many articles in order to identify how the voting goes hand in hand with the different alumni meetings. And it's important to clarify that the current bylaws do allow the possibility to have online alumni meetings, such as the one that we're having right now. But the thing is that there is no explicit definition of how online voting procedures should be carried out. Now, as you might be aware, we have done online voting in our community since a long time ago, but this has been based on, I would say, very ambitious and flexible interpretation of the bylaws that we somehow would like to clarify and make sure that this is something that would cause no doubts later on about how the voting procedures are conducted in the foundation. Currently, these two matters that I'm showing on the slides, electing the members of the alumni board and voting on updates to the bylaws, can only be done during alumni meetings, such as the one that we're having right now. The thing is, even though the bylaws allow both online and physical meetings, the current wording of the bylaws strongly suggests that the meeting have to take place face-to-face or physically. And I put here 3 examples on the lower left corner of the slide, which show you why this was really thought, in our view, from the point of having only face-to-face meetings. For example, when we're talking about the election of the alumni board members, Article 4, Section 3, the board members will be elected by a simple majority of members present at the alumni meeting. And the word present suggests physically present. Then Article 8, Section 1, similar thing. The bylaws might be amended upon proposal of the alumni board by majority vote in the alumni meetings. Again, this strongly suggests that the meetings have to take place face-to-face and the voting has to happen during the meetings. And this leads to reason number 2 why we're putting forward this proposal. And it's that our community keeps growing, just as Jeroen showed at the beginning of the presentation. And we have this requirement of having a 10% of quorum of the full alumni members. These are the ones who can vote in the foundation, mainly graduates from master's school, doctoral school, and former employees. Those are our members who can vote. And the 10% currently at this present date means 99 members at least. And this gets harder and harder to reach every year because we have new members. People will keep graduating from the master school. We have around 300 graduates every year. In order to ensure the legitimacy and the transparency of the voting, we believe that it is time to also define clearly that alumni meetings cannot remain open for an indefinite period of time until the voting has been completed, which is basically, let's say, the escape way that we're finding now in order to conduct votings that extend for more time than the actual meeting. It is a bit difficult to clarify, but the whole point on this is that we believe that it's important to separate alumni meeting from voting periods because of this complication that we have more and more members. Another thing to consider is that the current bylaws were passed in 2017, and back then we had only 407 members, so less than half of the members that we have currently. And calling alumni meetings every time that we need to have a new voting or that we need to, for example, go to an extraordinary election, it is very unpractical, and I would say impractical and also unfeasible. And as you can see, and to be very honest about these things, if we check, for example, now the number of participants in this call, will tell you why it's very challenging to reach the quorum of 10% of the members. Now, explaining more completely what are the changes that we're putting forward to our community members. First is that we propose to separate the voting periods from the agenda and the duration of the alumni meeting events. Again, we're talking about alumni meetings, not annual meetings. So this is not necessarily once per year only. It can happen multiple times per year, although it's not the ideal situation. And the voting on the alumni board members or the changes in bylaws still will be opened during the alumni meeting so that everyone is aware that this is happening. And the votes are cast through the website regardless of the meeting format. This is important because now, even more with the pandemic going on, we need to also allow the possibility to vote remotely, and this is clear, that this should be clearly established in the bylaws. And the voting should be able to continue after the meeting because, as I explained already, it's very difficult to reach 10% during just a weekend. Of course, we are still keeping the 4-week notice, so everyone is aware that there is a voting process ongoing, and then we maintain the 10% quorum. So these things are not changing the proposal. Now, the fact that we're bringing online voting also makes it somehow redundant or unnecessary to have this proxy voting. I'm not even sure that you were aware this exists, but you could delegate your vote to someone else. This has not been in practice implemented before, or at least in recent elections has not been used. And also, the practical reason for this is that we lack the resources to technically implement or verify the legality of someone delegating the vote to someone else. Now, since the vote is happening through the online website, this is somehow made redundant or unnecessary in the proposal. This was perhaps the longest one to explain. I already took all the time slot to explain just this one, but it's also very important. And now I would like to move on to the second proposal, which is perhaps the quickest and simplest to explain. And this is just to keep consistency in the bylaws according to the expansion of the board. So now we have 7 members compared to 5 until last year, but the bylaws still tell us that the majority of in the board during board meetings is just 3 members. So this doesn't make sense because 3 is not even half of 7. So just mathematical reasons, we need to make the following change. I have just put here this is a very simple, concrete change, that we require more than half of the alumni board members in the meeting in order to have the decisions be legally valid. So we're changing that hard-coded number of 3 for more than half. And finally, the third proposal that we're presenting to all our community members, it's related to the working groups and what Jeroen mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, that we would like to have a clearer definition of the types of working groups that can be established inside the EIT alumni. The current bylaws refer very broadly to geographical or activity basis on how local communities or different groups can be established inside the EIT alumni. But this is our vision towards the future. We would like to push more community engagement and especially bottom-up initiatives, such as discussing societal issues, for example. And we would like that these things are clearly established in our bylaws, that this could be done. This can be done not by us, but also future boards. And this also comes from many discussions we had inside the alumni board on what things can we support and fund. And we entered a big discussion on what the word activity can actually mean. And we realized that there are 2 interpretations of what activity can be defined as. One of those is when we're talking about activity, could be something with a limited duration or limited time frame, such as in the case of the annual meeting, for example. Someone who helps the alumni board in the organization of this yearly event. But we could also say that activity refers to something recurring. There is a common topic of interest. Could be, for example, women at DIT, helping, pushing towards gender balance and also more engagement of our female community members in a technology field. Or it could be, for example, related to professional training, lifelong learning. So this is the second interpretation of activity. And we believe that it's important to have both kind of groups inside of our community. So the change we're proposing with this third amendment is to first keep the geographically based groups the same. There are no changes here, but we introduce officially the term local community, which has been already widely adopted between our members, but is not defined in the bylaws. So we're putting this officially in the bylaws. And then with the activity-based working groups, we actually propose to split these into 2 categories, which are the ones I mentioned before. First, working groups that are allowed to support the alumni board within a limited time frame. For example, the annual meeting, or it could be recruiting mentors for the kickoff and coordinating with the mentors. Could be, for example, here the COPEGA, the conference and partner event every year, etc. So these are just working groups with an expiration date. And the second one is events around a common theme of interest. And the examples I have put here on the slide are actually things that our members have reached out to us and say like, hey, I'm interested in esports. Is this something that the EIT alumni could support or could do? Right now, the answer is like, well, maybe yes, maybe not, we're not sure. But we would like to somehow set the basis for these things to be done. Same with lifelong learning, professional training, any other topics of societal change that would be interesting for you. Another change that we're proposing with this is that there will be one contact person per group to facilitate the coordination. And then we also have clarified a bit more what are the accountability or reporting duties of the working groups towards the alumni board. So we can also see the different progress of these groups. So this is the summary of the changes that we're putting forward to you, and which we will open the voting in a few minutes for. And now I would also like to open a small round of questions. Because of time limitations, I would ask you to please write down, if you have any questions or doubts about these amendments, to write them down in the chat of this Zoom call or in the Telegram group. And then together with the rest of the alumni board members, we will try to clarify and explain as best as possible these three proposals. So now we open the floor to any questions or comments. Sure, Bobo is asking to see the three proposals. Now, it is a bit complicated to put all three of them on slides, but they are also available on the website with the link to the documents in which you can see the, thanks Jeroen for sharing the link on the chat. You can find there the proposals, and there are the links to the documents in which you can see the current version and also the new version of the bylaws in case these amendment proposals are passed. So you would be able to compare the before and after. Yeah, Francesco asks, is it risky to make such a strict reference to the alumni website as a solely place to vote? Or what if a safe e-voting platform comes out one day? Thanks for the question, a very valid point. Now the thing is, we still consider that now the most official channel that our community has is the alumni website. And this is at least where the last few elections have been carried out, so that we want to also give more like trust on this channel and set it as the official one. We wouldn't like to leave it so vague and so open as that tomorrow there could be a voting through Facebook or Telegram and some members skipped that and they could complain that, hey, I didn't see that you had a voting somewhere else. So by having one single official channel, then everyone can be assured that you can cast your vote through that platform. And hopefully through the efforts with the technology officer and also the web development group, we can make sure that we keep strengthening and improving this website to ensure that this is set as the official trustworthy channel for the voting matters in our foundation. Also, if any one of the board members would like to add anything else, please go ahead as well.
Yeah, maybe I can also add something here. I think we intentionally phrased it like that the vote will take place through the website, so that we ensure there's an entry point. I think if there is a tool that is much safer that comes out in the near future, it's very simple. We just link to that from our website, so that the website remains the channel in which people can get access to the vote and will find the vote as such.
Yeah, so we have another question from Martin, and he's asking if a vote will have to be started during an alumni meeting, or a vote can be called by the board without an alumni meeting. The vote has to be called and started with an alumni meeting, but we make sure that there is no, let's say there are no doubts that the vote can continue after the meeting ends. Right now, the interpretation, as I was saying, is very flexible or creative. And the thing is, the alumni meeting will continue open until we reach the necessary quorum to know what are the results on the election and the amendments. Because the current statutes, bylaw, kind of tie up the voting to the alumni meeting. Now, with the proposal that we're putting forward, there is still a need for an alumni meeting in order to make it official and make sure that everyone in your community is aware that there is a voting happening. But what happens is that the voting starts, or it's open during the alumni meeting, and then it can continue. The voting period can continue for a while afterwards. It is very similar to what is done in practice, but again, it's just to making sure that this is clearly defined in the bylaws, so that there is no chances that any questions will be raised about the legitimacy of the voting. Now we have some other comments about, okay, quite a few comments. Let me try to follow up. In times after COVID, it will be practical to vote live too. Assume the annual meeting is on an internet-free location. This is a valid comment. Again, I would like to grab on Jeroen's answers. The website is basically the channel, the entry point, and we can have different tools linked to that entry point. And the proposal does not restrict the possibility that there would be also the opening of a vote on a physical alumni meeting. Still, there will be an entry point through an official channel of the foundation. Now, we also get a comment from Borche, and he says that he doesn't understand why the possibility of online voting removed, offline voting, sorry, even if it's not used at the moment. Okay, so I would like to emphasize again, I'm jumping back to this slide. Votes are cast through the website or by entering the website, regardless of the meeting format. So there is no restriction that the meeting has to be online, it can be a physical meeting as well. So there is no change in that sense. Another point that I would like to raise once again is that we really need to think on the current situation of the community, the current size, and also the future outlook. And we have currently 987 members at this point. And the situation is really different from what it was 3 years ago in 2017 when the current bylaws were passed. So we are trying to set the basis for allowing all the members of our community, regardless of location, to vote and to take part in the discussions and have a voice.
Can I add something, Jose Carlos?
Yes,
I think this discussion goes a little bit further. I think it also has to do with the inclusiveness of the things that we're trying to do, right? If we look at our annual meeting as it took place now, which is the alumni meeting as we implemented in these years, the maximum capacity, the maximum number of spots has always been around 100, 120. This year we tried to go up a little bit. But the concern is also there that simply the amount of alumni proportional to the size of the overall community that can attend this event is becoming very small. So our preference, and that's why it's reflected like this, would be that from the future onwards, all the votes are open to everyone in the community through an online format, through one single place, so that we do not link it to that particular meeting. I think also highlighting here that looking that in order for us to take decisions during this meeting, we would require a quorum of 99 people. We are currently 49. That means if we would vote by a raise of hands now, this would not be valid. So this is the kind of things that we are looking into to ensure that also in the future our bylaws properly regulate changes. Otherwise, we could find ourselves in a scenario where, because this meeting needs to decide on the bylaws, we have a set of bylaws that cannot change itself because we cannot officially regulate the vote or reach a quorum that is specified by that document.
I will also now comment, Yami and Gigi mentioned that they wouldn't interpret present as physically present. In the proposal that we're presenting, we're replacing the mention of present to have cast their vote. So that means that it is clear that can be regardless of whichever medium is. So the thing is, the interpretation that each one of us can have can be very different. Even between board members, it took a lot of discussions to see, okay, how much can we extend? Are we at risk at some point of doing something that the bylaws and the statutes do not allow us. And we believe that it might be small change, but helps us to clarify when we're saying the 10% of the members have cast their vote, that this could be either physically or online. When there is the word is present or attending the meeting, those terms are more suggesting towards having a face-to-face voting, and which I think would be great, would be ideal that we could have a meeting in which we can bring as many members as possible so that we can have raising hands and see counting the votes right there. But we really need to think, as I was saying, on the term for the next, or the outlook for the next few years of the community based on the number of members that we have, and that they are not necessarily be able to gather in a meeting, whether it's physical or online, but still they need to have their voice be heard and be able to cast a vote. Do we have any additional questions? I'm checking now the chat. Also, let me see the Telegram group. Otherwise, or also regarding any of the other two proposals, amendment proposals. Otherwise, I think I could give the floor to Craig for the next point in the agenda. All right, so then I now give the floor to Craig. Please let me know if you want to share your screen, or should I just, maybe I will just continue here on these same slides.
I think it's fine if you just go through the same slides. It's like 3 more slides.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for Jose Carlos for going through all of the bylaws. And thank you everyone here for asking all the questions. It's very interesting to hear from you. So the next thing on the agenda is the technology officer election. This is something else which is happening at the same time with the bylaws. As Jerome was saying earlier, we had Theodore in this position, but unfortunately for personal reasons, he had to resign. So now we have this role open to fill. And because we have the annual meeting now, and we still have like 6 months left in our mandate, that we decided to open this position up and get another board member. So for the past month, there's been people applying. We have 3 candidates. I will go through all of them one by one now in alphabetical order, and hopefully hand over to some of them for some words. So first up, we have Anand. I'm going to mess up these names, I'm sorry. Anand Bashkaran. He was an alumni from 2016 from the track Embedded Systems. He went from KCH to Eindhoven and now works as a senior software engineer. So I think Anand's here if he wants to maybe unmute his mic and say a few words.
Yes, hi everyone. So thank you, Craig, for introducing me. So as you know, I hope I know at least few of you guys before, and I'm a graduate in 2016. It has been like almost 4 years now and going to 5th year that I have finished my studies in EIT Digital, but the collaboration keeps continuing with various formats in alumni contest or mentors and so on. So now I think it's time for me to give back to the community from where I gained a lot of insight, knowledge, and experiences and learnings. So this is why I applied for this position. And then also this position is very interesting to me from my my point of view. So with the technology is the main source of enabling the collaborations. Yeah, can you hear me?
I think it was frozen for a little bit, but yeah, I think you're fine now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, so what I was saying is this position is very interesting to me, especially in this situation of COVID where everything is transforming into online. And I believe technology is the main enabler of all these aspects. ranging from different topics, like how we engage the working groups, how we do online voting as we were discussing right now, and so on. So I believe this is a perfect moment for taking part also with my experience. And then some of my vision for the next years to come is to enable the community engagement of our community. Right now we are quite big, so it's not only location is the primary parameter of collaboration, but also various themes are coming in and so on. So how we enable these collaborations and improve the community engagement so that we work as a team. And then also, as I said, the digital collaboration is something I think as my theme for the next year and as my vision going forward, which is very much aligned. So that's my vision, and that's why I am my thoughts. So looking forward for your votes for me.
Cool.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for this
you.
opportunity.
Thank you very much, Anand. I will just post the link to your candidate profile into the chat. Hold on, I'll send it to everyone. There we go. Yeah, so you can read more about Anand there. And yeah, we will open in the voting up later on. The next candidate is Eric Wouters. Unfortunately, I don't think he is in the chat today. Let me just check again if he joined. No, he didn't. But Eric is a alumni from 2018, also from embedded systems. He went the other way around. So he started in Eindhoven and then went to KTH. And now he's working as a scientist innovator. I have a few words from what he said before on the, hold on a second, on his post, so I can just read those out quickly. He really hopes he can help shape the digital technological backend systems of our alumni community in a way that will engage each one of you to keep in contact with friends and find like-minded alumni to connect to. So this is what he's working on. That's what he's standing on, I should say. Yeah, I will also share the link to his profile. Hold on a sec, in the chat. So you can go and read more from him. Here we go. And then next up, the third candidate and final candidate, we have, I'm really going to mess up this, I'm sorry. Shirvastava.
Just tell first name, you know that.
It's Shashank.
Yeah.
He's an alumni from 2017. He studied data science, went from Eindhoven to TU Berlin, and is now working as a data scientist. So please, if you have some words, Shashank.
Yeah. So it's nice to see every one of you here again, but this time online. And thanks to Alumni Board for organizing this meeting. And thanks to Luca for sharing idea, and Daniel, it's great video. So this time, finally, I stepped up and volunteered myself for this technology officer position. So I think I can now, while working with like in many alumni events, I know some place where we can introduce technology, and of course we have this great website, and as I participated in last hackathon, and there I understood some features where we can improve on, and I can think that I can help as a technology officer in that area. And currently I'm working as a data scientist for a company builder where I am supporting new ventures to develop their first data analytics pipeline. So there I gained this experience of like building from start to some productizing the idea. So there are a lot of ideas in my mind which I would like to implement in our website. So that's from my side, and I request all of alumni member to vote, at least to vote, and appreciate the effort from Anand and Eric to at least apply for this position. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shashank. And also thank you to Anand and Eric for applying too, and to you, Shashank. It's very nice to have yeah, an election of 3 candidates for this role. Looking forward to see the results. I will now hand over back to Jerome, who will officially open the voting of all of these things.
Yes, thank you very much. I already saw some questions in the Telegram with some confusion on how we should vote now. Indeed, as Jose Carlos highlighted, the current bylaws require us to open a vote during an alumni meeting. So this is our alumni meeting, and this is the official moment where we are going to open the vote, as is currently described in our statutes and our bylaws. So just to make sure, I'm repeating a couple of things. The documents have been sent out to you beforehand. We also shared the link where you can find all the things if you want more information. The voting will actually be open from now for 2 weeks, meaning that you can vote until the 28th of November, so that we make sure that we can reach this quorum of 10% of our community that is casting a vote. It is important to mention that the vote is only open to full alumni, so people that have graduated from the master's school, the doctoral school, or are former employees of EIT Digital. If you think you should be in that category, but you're not allowed to vote, then please reach out to us on alumni@eitdigital.eu, because then we may have to fix your status on the website, basically making sure that you're categorized as a full alumni. And all the questions are present on our website, as was the case in the past. If you currently go to our website, the voting link is there. On the main menu on the right, you will see an option to vote, for which you have all the information for the 3 votes on the amendment proposals to the bylaws, and also the vote for the technology officer candidates, including links to their candidacies. So you should have all the information in one place. As I mentioned, the quorum is 10%, meaning that we need to reach at least 99 votes in this election, potentially more if some of you flag that you are not a full member on our website. So I would also like to use this opportunity to encourage you to basically share this news with your fellow alumni and make sure that they're all aware that a vote is taking place, so that we can make sure that we can at least elect a new technology officer, which is very important for the work of the board. So with that, the vote is now open.